website secret shopping studies is something that we've invested quite a bit of time at the Digital Growth Institute. And I know myself personally, I've conducted well over 100 of these studies just in the last 3.5 years. I'm curious though, how do you know, just like off the top of your head, how many studies that we've conducted since the birth of DGI? I mean, I was trying to think about it the other day, but I don't think I could take a stab at it.
It's at this point 12 to 1,300
Yeah.
studies, over about a decade. And that's a lot of film to watch and to review.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I think it's important to give some context into what we mean when we're talking about website secret shopping studies. Um,
Please.
we're we're taking and I'm not going to spoil this because we're going to get to it in a minute, but we're taking a cohort and we'll talk about the number of that cohort. And this has been a learning lesson over time for us as well. And maybe we provide some
Yes.
context into how we've evolved this process even, um, because each study runs with an individual runs around 30 minutes worth of recorded experience.
Mhm.
And we're taking these individuals through a hypothetical situation. And so we go out and we recruit based upon a particular profile, persona, and then we run them through a list of around 10 to 12 questions. And these are all open ended so that they're able to talk through what they're seeing, what they're experiencing on the website, whether that be desktop or whether that be mobile. But then I think where things get really interesting is when we go off of a financial brand that we're working with, we go off of their site and we enter into competitive benchmarking and we bring in another community brand, or we bring in a fintech, or we bring in a national brand, and we start
Mhm.
comparing the two experiences. That's where the real learnings kick up to a whole new level right there.
Yeah, thank you for giving that, background on just kind of how we set up these studies. And when you say 10 to 12 questions, I want to make a point to note that this is a very targeted study on a
Ah,
particular product line. So we're not going out and secret shopping the entire
great
website.
point.
It is very focused on one product, whatever and even on the product itself, it might be even more hyper targeted than that. So to put your mind at ease, these these secret shopping studies, 30 minutes, 10 to 12 questions, we're looking at either checking, saving, auto loan, you name it.
Yep. And great point when you're talking about specific areas within the product buying journey. Sometimes that is on the public facing website. Sometimes that is a specific product landing page that is tied to a major campaign that a financial brand is spending 50, $100,000, $200,000 to run traffic to that page. Um, I think anecdotally of a financial brand here that we have been facilitating website secret shopping studies for multiple years. But for whatever reason, they did not run a study on a particular product campaign landing page. And it was through the coaching that we do with them outside of the study. I said, well, how did that campaign go? And they go, well, we got a lot of traffic to the page, but we didn't get any real conversions. And I said,
Yeah.
did you optimize the page? They said, no. How long did you run traffic to the page? Oh, we ran traffic for about 3 months to this product landing page. And I said, how much did you spend traffic wise? He said about $50,000. And I go, next time you run a campaign like this, carve off a small little investment to run a study
Yep.
on this product landing page before you get started or right as you get started, so that you can then take those insights and optimize that, and you're not just sitting waiting for the results to change.
Right.
You have to change, or the landing page has to change if you want the results to change.
That is such a good point. And I think, and I'm so glad you made that. And it's easy. You create this page, you put it out there and you wait to see what the results are. But you're right. If it's a 3-month campaign and you're rolling in at the end of the 30 days
Right.
and you're not seeing you're not seeing any conversions or anything, any activity, yeah, it's time to reassess, make some small optimizations. And that's exactly where these website secret shopping studies come in. And so I want to discuss today what the magic number
Mm.
is for user testing. And this is such, for me, I found this absolutely fascinating when you sent me this research. I don't know, maybe was it a couple years ago?
Hmm.
And what's interesting is the opposite makes perfect and logical sense. I'm thinking more users, more tests, more insights. Logical, right? Um, but not so much.
Well, and I think that's where the historical context comes into play, because I remember when we were first building this methodology about a decade ago, we thought the same thing, you know, 10, 20 users to get a valid website secret shopping study for a product line. Now, take in mind, if you have 10 people secret shopping a product on a website for a financial brand, and the average runtime of film, I say film like this is like it's football, and I know
Yeah,
you
I love
relate to
it.
that, but
Yes, I love it.
if the average time runtime is 30 minutes per study, well, 30 minutes times 10, that's 300 minutes. That's like an epic film in the theaters. I'm trying to think of like a film that has actually run 300 minutes, and I know that there are probably some that
Five
exist.
hours?
Yeah, like maybe not standalone, but maybe it's like two episodes out of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, extended edition or something like that. It's a lot of time. And I'm like, no, this can't be right. There has to be a better way to do this, which then sent me down a path of research and discovery. And I think this quote from Envision app sums it all up. And I'm going to quote this because I can't say this better than myself. Quote, the more users you add to a test group, the less you'll learn. Which, when you think about traditional market research,
Right.
survey
More, more, more.
data, you want more. And so it's almost counter to the logic of traditional market research, but this is not traditional market research. This is taking a qualitative approach.
Right.
There's a whole quantitative side that we can touch on too, but we're not going to today. But it's taking a qualitative approach to how a website's page for a particular product essentially makes someone feel, and then benchmarking that experience against other financial brands.
I'm glad you made that distinction. This is qualitative versus quantitative. Quantitative research, absolutely. Numbers, more, it makes more sense that way, but it's the qualitative piece. It's the why, it's the feeling, it's the emotion behind it. That is really where we're talking about here. You don't need more users. So with all of this said, James Robert, what is the magic number? What do we need here?
I feel like we're on Sesame Street. Today's number is 5. It's 5.
5.
5 is the magic number. We should have had some type of like
Sound
B-roll.
effects.
Yeah, exactly. I hear
Written
like
with confetti.
exactly. No, but no, 5 is the number. And I think about when we were first doing this a decade ago, which is 10,
Mhm.
10 years later, we have now cut that number in half. And the insights that we're gaining are just the same, if not even that much better. And I think it's important to talk about why this is and how we came to the conclusion that 5 is the magic number for website secret shopping studies.
Yeah, I think it simply put, it's the law of diminishing returns. Those first few, the first 3, 4, they're going to uncover 85% of the issue. So 5 users will get you. Studies have shown, and I have promised you, I've read all of the data and all of the research because I couldn't believe it myself. But the research shows that 5 users will result in 85% of the issues, of the insights. And this part is fascinating, James Robert. I don't know, and I think we've talked about this, but the number it takes to get to that full 100%. Do you know what it is? If it takes 5 users to get 85% of the results, do you know how many it takes to get 100% of the issues or insights?
It takes around 15 to 16.
Yes.
So you're 3xing. And we were right there at around 10 when we were first getting started with this. And if you think about 10, we were getting around like 88%. Now, if you think about it, to get 85%, you only need 5 users. You need 5 testers within a cohort. But I think too, it's interesting to note, and some of this research comes out of the Nielsen Norman Group, and from the work that they have done here to get
And
60,
we'll link this with the podcast, this article.
absolutely, to get 65% of the issues, you just need 3 users. With 4, you'll catch 75% of the issues. With 5, back to your point, you'll get 85%. But once you cross that 5 to 6, you're into that law of diminishing returns. And I want to quote from this study here. As soon as you, and this is important because someone who's listening, and I think about like the banker's brain and how numbers play into their mind. As soon as you start, quote, as soon as you start to collect data from a single test user, your insights shoot up. And you've already learned almost a third of all there is to know about the usability of the design. When you test a second user, you will discover that this person does the same of the things as the first user. You've seen this in action in real life, because by the time that you get literally to the third, fourth, and even the fifth,
Yeah.
you're not, you're not, you're still learning, but the learning, maybe we'll call it the law. You talk about the law of diminishing returns. We'll call this the law of learning. The law of learning begins to decrease.